Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Costume Co. I'm Heidi, Costume Co. And with me, I've got a couple of wonderful guests. I've got Farhan Farhan, you have two channels now.
Yes.
You've got Middle Earth Lore and then your gaming channel.
Yeah.
And then
Extra
we
life. Yeah.
have Justin from Top Shelf Fandom, who also, he's not really doing too much on his channel, but he's
I just
working.
gifted my channel to Farhan right now on the air. It's not, now he has 3 channels. He also runs
damn.
Top Shelf
Thank
Fandom.
you. I
You will get your $14 coming right to you.
Yeah, but anyway, we're back. We haven't had a live stream for a long time on this channel. I think the last one we did, actually, Farhan, it wasn't you. We did that other Star Wars show, which is really good.
Mandor, yeah.
Yeah. And I actually am still thinking it's better than The Mandalorian, especially the last episode. I don't know what you guys thought about it, but
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know about like the whole series in general, but definitely season 3. I don't know.
Hi, Cool Gamer. So anyway, today we're talking about The Last of Us. So what we had done a while back is we'd had a live stream about The Last of Us, about maybe midway through. I think there were 8 episodes. So now we're at the end. Was it 8 or 9? 9. Weird number, hey? So here we are with the last episode, the Last of Us episode. And it's been I think it's been like a week and a half. So I'm kind of like, I've already forgotten a lot of it. So hopefully we'll get refreshed and everyone, we can have a nice conversation about the show. So before we do that, let's just go around and you guys can introduce yourselves. Farhan, you want to start?
Sure. I'm Farhan, and I basically obviously I have run 2 channels, as we mentioned. One of them is Middle Earth Lore, where I talk about the lore of Middle Earth. It's pretty self-explanatory. But I've recently been pivoting with my second channel to more gaming stuff, because gaming is my one and first true love. And so on there, I'm doing like video essays and reviews, and like with the Resident Evil 4 remake that's coming out on Friday, I'm working on a review for that. And yeah, so there's a lot of things coming out, and I'm really excited. And I'm also excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Well, I'm always happy to have you, even if you can't get along with some of our other guests, but that's okay. Well, that's why when we have Farhan on, we have to be careful that we don't have certain other guests, right, Justin?
Yeah, we're pinning some stuff on him. But also I'm looking forward to Farhan is going to be continuing. I didn't finish Westworld because it pissed me off and it wasn't good for my health.
Yeah.
So Farhan's going to be finishing the Before the Dust Settles after shows. He's going to watch the rest, right? He's got all that going as well. So enjoy that
for Westworld.
Yeah, enjoy.
I haven't seen it since season 3, but yeah,
you're a healthier man for it. Yeah, no, but yeah, you'll get on it. He's gonna join. It's gonna be good. So yeah,
you're gonna do a season 4 review of Westworld.
He's gonna do it live. Yeah, he's taking Top Shelf. Yeah, he just got Top Shelf Fandom. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh,
that's crack me up. Yeah, that's a big. He went to. It's like getting a junk band. No, those are actually worth money. But no, so yeah, Top Shelf Fandom. I just do editing though and market, content marketing and strategy. I do the YouTube.
Hi, Terra Incognita. How are you? And I already said hi to Cool Gamer. This might be a bit quiet tonight because, I don't know what's going on. It's the middle of the week. That's the first thing. And then it's the first. Well, actually, yesterday was the first day of spring. So Farhan and I are in Toronto. It's not too bad here. Justin, what's the weather like where you are?
It's not actually Ottawa.
But...
Oh, you're in Ottawa.
Near Ottawa, yeah.
Oh, you're near Ottawa. Sorry. Yeah. Why did I think you were in Toronto?
I used to live in Toronto.
Oh, you used to live in the GTA. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay.
I imagine you're all just on glaciers that are like moving.
We are. There's only 4 of us in Canada.
There's not like a static,
address. Canada's not real anyway.
Yeah. It doesn't actually matter, to be fair. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's there, but it's not a big deal. Either one. Yeah, it's not Canada. It's actually been a little bit cold here. For North Carolina.
Okay.
But it's when it's like 50 degrees in March, it's cold for North Carolina. So I'm from Michigan, so it's not actually cold. But yeah, but the whole thing, everybody got a big chill. It was like a whole nor'easter, but it was like a whole Easter, right? Like instead of just the north. So
yes, the whole Easter.
That's boy.
Like well, anyway, so the show that we're speaking about tonight is The Last of Us. And it was interesting because I was mentioning to Justin earlier that I was having a chat with one of my YouTube friends, and he was saying there's this controversy, or not controversy, just but like people comparing The Walking Dead to The Last of Us, which I suppose is would be an obvious comparison because they're both, zombie apocalypses, although one is based on a video game and one is based on a graphic novel. By the way, have either of you watched The Walking Dead? Just as a curiosity?
I watched The Walking Dead up until I think it was season 9.
Mhm.
That's when I was like, you know what? It's drawing out. I've held up with this show for too long. And I've also got the 3 compendiums of the graphic novels, actually.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is good. So you've done The Walking Dead, you've done the graphic novels on the show, and then now The Last of Us, you're doing you've got the game and then you've got the show.
Yeah.
What about you, Justin? I know you've played the game, but have you did you
Walking Dead? Yeah. I was with it not until man, you made it a little bit longer than I did. I went back for a bit to see Rick leave and then realized why he was leaving. And then I, after the fact of the show, I went and I've done some digital copies of the graphic novel. So I'm very much so. Yeah, I think it's not apples to apples, but it's a story that takes place in the apocalypse. But it's not about the zombies; it's about the people, man. So it's one of those deals. So it's definitely got a lots of. I mean, they can't help but they're borrowing from the same lore themselves.
Well, and basically, have you guys read Day of the Triffids? It kind of goes back to Day of the Triffids. Day of the Triffids is a really great book by John Wyndham. It's like from, I don't know, the 40s or something.
Oh, well, you win. That is the most academic take on zombies.
Well, the scene when like Rick wakes up in the hospital and then, there's no one around, and they do the same thing in 28 Days Later.
Yes.
That's a scene from Day of the Triffids. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think they should redo it because it's such a cool story.
Day of the Triffids. Yeah, you'll have to spell that for me after. Yeah,
there is a movie apparently. Okay, so anyway, so let's just start off with maybe our overall thoughts of season 1. It's 9 episodes, as Farhan corrected me. It's not 8, which I thought 9 sounds like a weird number. And they did the same thing with another show I watched. It was like, why like 9 episodes?
Sorry, on.
No, I just want to say that I like when you see that because it shows that they are telling the story they need to tell, not a pre-ordered number. Right. I think it's always a great sign. If I see 7 episodes, 9 episodes, 11 episodes, it's like they're not pushing to get to a quota, right? Like they're telling the story and what they need. They're not like, 9 episodes, we don't need a 10, right?
Right, and that's actually what they did because there was going to be 10. Because I think, if I remember correctly, the first 2 episodes were actually 2. Sorry, the first episode was actually 2 episodes, but they condensed it into 1, right? Because there was actually more content, but then they realized that it would be a better way of storytelling if they sort of condensed it into 1 episode instead. So yeah.
Half the episode was Joel waiting for a concrete delivery, and it wasn't late, but it was late-ish, right? Like, so like it was really heavy into the whole meta of the construction. And so they felt that, it's killing. No, I don't know but that makes sense. They didn't have to do the cookie cutter way because you do get episodes ordered, right? And you have to fill those slots to an extent.
Right.
It is a business. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Jackie was just mentioning she can't believe how short the finale was. And actually, that's what a lot of reviewers were saying. They were saying they found it really short. But I think it also went really fast. Like it was like boom, boom, boom. But okay, well, let's just talk about what your overall thoughts of this season were. Farhan, why don't we start with you? And you can compare it to the game or not.
Sure. Yeah. So overall, like, I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but like when they first announced the game, right? In general, like that they were gonna do sort of a show adaptation of it. I was kind of skeptical because I was like, I don't know how they're gonna do that because video games a lot of the times, not every time, are notoriously known to be not so great or not done very well. And I was like, well, The Last of Us is already, as a game, is already very cinematic as it is. The story is there; it's told exactly the way it needs to. And then as we saw more trailers come out and things come out, I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. And after watching this whole show, I'm glad to have been proven wrong. I'm very happy about that. I think it was generally done very well compared to at least most adaptations. I think it's great, but I still don't think it's quite as good as the game yet. I think the game still has better pacing. there's more like a relationship, and obviously there's the interactivity and stuff, but I think just generally like the performances and everything I personally found better. Could I be biased? Absolutely, that's probably the case, but at least when I try to look at it from a more face value thing, I still found that the game performed better. But either way, I still think that the show was great, and I'm glad it's coming to newer audiences.
Don't you kind of have to okay, so you can, it's fair to say that you enjoy the game better, but like I think that I don't know, maybe you won't agree, but I think that as far as storytelling goes, and I think that's why the show was such a success, because they knew how to tell a story in a game, and then who else would be better at being I than myself, right? Nobody's gonna be better at being me than myself. So like the game is always going to be the game, but the game is a game and the show is a show. And I think the recognition of the medium by the creators as well, they know how to tell a story in a game. I think you have to separate them to some extent. Like I don't think it's fair to put the game against I guess in a straight just enjoyment way, like pleasure wise, but like as far as storytelling, they're different machines. I think they knocked it out of the park with both. I think that I will award the game more as well, because the game, I think it's
right, but
harder.
I think the big criticism of at least even the last episode was kind of one that I felt throughout the series was the pacing, right, and how like fast or slow it was. And so I felt like if we spent a little bit more time with Joel and Ellie, just a little bit, right? Like I think we could have used maybe an extra episode or something. But yeah, like then I think that would have already like heightened itself.
Yeah, that's fair. You're just using then just straight rules of story. Yeah, no, that's fair. If you
right?
yeah,
so
you're
I'm not.
pacing stuff.
So that's
like
what
that,
I mean. Is that the game? It's not just because of the gameplay, but because it's paced very well. Like it's told in a very nice, neat package. Whereas this, it's still pretty relatively neat, but towards the end, they really sped things up, and they were like, "Oh shoot, we got to get to the end."
Yeah. I think that they didn't want to. I think they wanted to have the power and ambiguity. I really enjoyed it as well. I think that the show, and it's interesting because the same way they connect this story so well, because we care a lot about Sarah when we don't know Sarah much in the game, right? And we also, am I hearing? Is that on? Can anybody else hear that?
That is my son jumping up and down. I'll mute myself. By the way, while you guys were talking, someone just called and left like the longest message. Have you ever had we're like, dude, why are you long message? Can you just email me? Anyway, and then now that's my son running up and down. So I got
this card. I was like, is this coming from my end?
And Jackie,
I was thinking that too.
I didn't dye my hair black. It's just really dark brown. She's just asking me.
That's your fault for having an answering machine a little bit, Heidi. But you know what I mean? You got to cut that out. Don't give the people. But I think that the show, like, we have a great connection to Sarah in the game and in the show, right? Like when Sarah's barely, they achieve that connection. I remember playing the game and hoping that because you flash forward again, just like you do in the show, 25 years, right, Farhan? And I'm sitting there and I'm hoping that we're looking at possibly, even when I first saw what's her name, I was like, even in both game and show, for some reason my instinct is maybe that's a grown-up Sarah, right? Like maybe Sarah didn't die because like you just didn't want the kid, like you didn't even barely know them, but they did smart things to connect you to Sarah with the game. They have you walk around this Sarah a little bit, so they use like the game's storytelling tools to connect you. And then in this, they show us her getting the watch for the dad, which happens in the game as well, but they show her day. They show that she's like a good kid. She's a relatable kid, she's like with the older people.
Yeah. Well, in the game, they don't show her getting
getting the watch, but the watch is a joke. She says she's hard. There's a familiar, like it's a kid that you like. I think that like people can like, because it's a good relationship. It's a good, I think, relatable, realistic father, daughter relationship of a single father, especially, they're a little bit loose with the jokes. Like she's like, oh, I sold hard drugs, so I think that they connect you with the story very well. And I think that, since, spoiler alert, not really needed, but with the finale was so short because in the game too. So you don't have the choice, because I remember actually thinking, and this is like, we'll get to this in the end, I know in a broader sense, but the morality, the ethics of Joel, and like whether you believe he did the right, I'll go on a whole tirade on that later. I have no issue with it. I think it's beautiful. There's power in this ambiguity. They don't give you the choice in the game either. Joel just starts shooting. So like the finale was quick, and it made sense because it almost felt quick in the game as well, because they don't want, because I remember thinking, and I would have probably killed everybody in there anyways, because I play Grand Theft Auto and just kick up person to death for like 2 hours, something around the ground. You know what I mean? Like I was gonna kill him anyways in the game, but they don't give you the choice. Like, but I did think for a minute, I'm like, oh, am I gonna? Okay, maybe have her going for the surgery that they need to do right away. You know what I mean? Like they don't give you that choice, but I think it's the power in that ambiguity.
One choice though, in that
what is do
moment, which is if you want, you can kill all the nurses in the room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can. You definitely have to kill the main one, right? The main doctor, right?
Yeah.
But then after that, you can just go ahead and take her as you please. But if you really want to, and you just have that,
choose violence,
fire, and you decide to wake up that
choose
day
violence.
and choose violence, then you can go ahead and kill the others. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube
because he didn't kill all the nurses. So just to ask you guys, so the series plays out very close to the game. Is that correct?
Very close,
from what I read.
Very close. Because it is a betrayal to a little bit. It's Joel being a little bit selfish in the sense of, Ellie's question is, did he hurt anybody? He lies to her in the game too. He doesn't say it's not so much, hey, like I think she kind of even knows that like he might have took her out of there, but it's more like, did you hurt more people unnecessary? And Joel did. Because Joel, but we're backing Joel. I mean, like I'm back. I think that's the beauty in it because it brings up these conversations of, it's a very tired conversation in a sense, but it's still very relevant. Save the many for the few. I think that, Joel is embracing love and he's loving the people. He's responsible for the people around him. Right. And he makes that decision. You can get right behind it because it's like, and of course Sarah plays into that and it's like this whole thing. But I
didn't agree with anybody. It seems to me that I'm an outlier in how people view Joel. I think he absolutely did the right thing, and including killing all the people that he killed. I kind of remember in the very first when we had a live stream and we were talking about the government and they're fascist and everything, about how they had to go around killing people. And we were like, oh, that's so awful. They had to do that. But, we were all saying they really had no choice. And I kind of feel like that with Joel, because he even said it. He said, if I don't kill you, I know you'll hunt us down. So even if one of them is left, like a stray, they'll hunt him down.
Yeah, there's all these interesting, I think that I try not to get into, I agree with what you're saying, and I think that's how Joel is justifying
it. I'm pacifist, but I would have been dead. I would have been dead long ago.
No, we would have kept you alive. You would have died with us in the town square a few months later. But
you may put strings on me. As as I've got the flowers growing out of my face.
Well, I would have had 2 weeks as emperor. So, I think it's interesting though, because there is some people get into the schematics, why would they have to take the only living sample and why wouldn't they do tests? It's I stray away from that. I don't think what you're doing there is that though. I think what you're doing there is that's Joel's inner monologue right there, is that he is protecting Ellie. So I don't think he's going out of his way to hurt people. I don't think he wants to, but he is protecting Ellie. Yeah.
Obviously this is a conversation that has been talked about a lot, especially when the game came out, and now it's resurfacing with the with the show and people who are new. Oh, thank you. People who are new to this and are just seeing it for the first time. Obviously now they're having these conversations, and obviously there's all these different angles and stuff. But I think one that really matters is coming from the source himself, Troy Baker, who played Joel in the video game, and he actually was in episode 8 as well as James. So he said once that he's everyone is basically saying that Joel doomed humanity and he didn't save the world, but he did. She was his world, and that's all that mattered.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful
sentence. That's you're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah. No, and that's what I love about it too, because that is the story there now, and they purposely leave this to be ambiguous for a reason. And now that I believe the game creator has said the same thing, we don't know if it would have worked. That's really not the argument here. We're picking that world are the bigger. It's a very simple. That's why I say don't get caught up in the wouldn't they want to take these things don't even infect the brain with ants? I've seen people, and it's different. They changed the fungus, the spores or whatever in the show. But the point is, they don't want you to get bogged down in that. They want you to stay with just, do you choose your world or do you choose, can you do that greater? And I think you're not wrong either way, to be honest.
There was a lot of the trolley argument going on, the ethics of the trolley story, and I was like, I don't even think that's even the same thing, because as other people have said, and Natural just said this, first of all, we don't even know if it would have worked
100%.
Because even in The Walking Dead, they have some they think that they're going to be able to find a cure at one point. And so that's the first thing. Secondly, I don't even know if the what do you call them? The
Fireflies.
The Fireflies, even if they did have it, I don't even know if they would even release it to everybody. They might use it as like leverage.
Well, could they even? Let's talk about. I mean, that's what I mean about getting. I guess it's kind of fun to get in the schematics because like the Fireflies barely got across the country. Do you think they're prepared to have, if they did take the only living sample and they didn't study it, blah blah blah, because there's like all these scientific studies on this game, which is an awesome thing too, because it has these intelligent conversations that come from it. I like more what Farhan's at. We're symbiotic with this. I love it. Just the pure. This is emotion. This is primordial emotion. This is primal stuff. This is what storytelling is about. This is about he's choosing his world versus the hypothetical other world. And it's not, you shouldn't bog it down with the schematics of, well, we don't even know, because you can always make excuses. But the point is you have to either choose to make those excuses in your head, right? Like Joel's going to make, are you going to choose to leave it up to science? And that trolley thing, you want to know, until you got your mom or your brother or your loved one on that trolley, go F yourself with your theory book nonsense, moral compass.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been like, how I feel even when they initially released it, is that like, yeah, we can talk at length as to whether or not he did the right thing or whatever, but in that moment is all that mattered. That moment, it was a decision that he had to make. It's not something that he could sit there and calculate and be like, well, what are the ethical consequences? Or, is it this like, do they have are they going to actually find a cure? Blah, 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 right? He's not thinking about that. He's acting purely on emotion. He's lost a daughter already. He doesn't want to lose another.
Yeah, and he has a choice in this one. It's lovely. Yeah, I never actually thought about that, Farhan. That's so, because I like pushing the way we're going with this. I think it's fun in a different type of conversation to talk about the Fireflies and if they would end the science, but the science is boggled anyways, people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that, but what he just said is beautiful right there. It's Joel isn't thinking about, right? Joel has to make that right. He doesn't have case studies.
Oh, hey, Carl.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not like vetting these surgeons and like asking why they're not doing, well, this actually doesn't attach to the brain, so why aren't you taking living tissue? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I've read Reddit. I get it, people. Like,
well, what I was going to say too is the thing that really bothered me more than probably anything is that the fact that, well, I mean, they knocked him out, and then Ellie, they grabbed her, whatever. They immediately rushed her to surgery. They didn't even have the two of them together, so they immediately separated them. And that caused conflict right away, because then she wants to get rid of him. So let's say in a perfect world, they were put in a room together and they said, okay, Ellie, this could potentially save everybody. What do you think? She might then say, I'll do it. And then if she said, I'll do it, and I really want to do it with all of my heart, Joel might have been willing to. Now, he may not have been. Some people are saying he would be like, she's 14, she can't make that decision. Okay, that possibly could have been that. And then the Fireflies could possibly say, well, we're going to do it whether you give us our permission or not. So there's those things. But the fact that they never once even gave her the agency to choose. So that's why I don't really buy it. Even if she does find out later that he made that choice, that she would think that he was a bad person for what he did, because they never gave her that choice.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too, because you have all these people acting how they feel Ellie's life should be, because then you have Maureen, right? I'm saying, I don't want to boggle the name, but it's Maureen, right?
Marlene.
See, I knew. Whatever, Marlene. Yeah, so Marlene, but Marlene, knows the mom, right? So like, there's that connection, and she made a promise. So like, Joel looks at this kind of as fulfilling, what's her names too? Like, now I'm blanking on the way there. Tess. Like, everybody, you gotta live for like somebody else's like purpose, right? Like what they died for. Like, you get all this jumbled, and I think at the end of the day, you're right, Heidi. They didn't give her. First off, not a great way to handle your business by knocking. That's what I do. You come in to talk about videos, I knock you out. I separate you from anybody you brought in. You wake up, and I'm like, sorry about that. And you're tied to a chair. So let's talk money. You know what I mean? Like, it is a bad way to do that.
Isn't that what you do with the other guests?
Yeah,
it's really interesting. We were talking about this the other day. So like, the actress played Marlene in the game, and then Ellie's mom played Ellie in the game, and it's really interesting. how many actors work in, like, I was saying, wow, I was talking to Jack about this. How many actors, like, that you would know are work in video games? They probably pay really well.
Well, this is a stage show. They did the stage show around.
We had Jeffrey Pierce, who played that. I can't remember his name in the show. Who played like that right hand man to the like in the Hunters, like with that one episode. I can't remember.
The one who ends up with the axe in his neck.
Yeah. No. The other guy, the beard, and he's like got a gun.
Oh yes,
right?
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Pierce, he plays Tommy in the game. And then the one who has the axe in his neck, that's Troy Baker, who plays Joel. And then obviously Ashley Johnson plays Anna, Ellie's mother.
But she's a pretty famous actress. Like
they
I
all
knew the guy
are.
Plays,
Troy,
the guy who played Joel, I don't know.
Oh, Troy is in like every game.
Yes,
like,
Troy's every game, right, Farhan?
Right? Yeah, he's like in everything.
But
Ashley Johnson, she's in quite a few, but mostly you'll know her from like things like Critical Role and stuff, and Legends of Vox Machina.
Is he Uncharted? Is he in Uncharted as well? What is Troy?
Yeah, he is. He's in Uncharted 4 as Nathan's brother, Sam.
Yeah.
But he's done lots of roles. Like even in the same year in 2013, not only did he play Joel, he also played Booker DeWitt in BioShock Infinite. He also played Joker in Batman Arkham Origins. And he's in lots of things like Pagan Min and Far Cry 4. He has a huge thing. So
you want to have people talking in a video game, you better call Troy, because he's got it online. He's because this was they did all these stadium shows where they had like the whole they had like an orchestra and like they did like live events, this is love. That's why, I think it's as close as you could get to being fair about comparing story apples to apples with a video game, as close as I would allow it like to ever be, because it really was like conveyed as close as you could. It's still a game, but still.
I have to say, like, one of the things that I noticed, because I don't ever play video games, but one of the things I did notice is that a lot of this set decorating, set design, I was like, wow, this, like, just because I've had boyfriends play games, I'm like, wow, this like really looks like a game. Like, when they have some of those abandoned houses with the wallpaper peeling down, and just it's all like, it's got rain damage, and the extent or that mall, the mall was incredible. The production design on that. It really looked like a game. So it's sort of weird. It's like a crossover, at times. Like
there were actually a lot of sets that they used, or like that would look almost one-to-one. I just found it really interesting that their creative choice in this show, a lot of times, like pretty much every scene I've noticed, was when you put the two together, like it's actually mirrored. It's flipped.
Really?
So if something is happening, like if let's say I'm looking towards this way, in the show it will be this way, and like things will be put to that side instead of this side. Like it's really cool.
That is so cool. Like that's like an incredible attention to detail.
Yeah.
It's a lot in the color grading as well. It's very important for the color grading to be spot on.
So I was speaking about Daniel earlier, Justin. So Daniel Battelle, who is like one of my YouTube friends, he did a post today on his channel, like on his community tab, talking about Game of Thrones and how dark it is. And I guess maybe he's finishing it now. And he's like, what's going on? Like, why is this show so dark? Right. And then someone said, The Last of Us is dark, but it's still bright. And it's kind of true, right?
Okay, so there's dark that you can see. You can see it's dark, right? You can see that it's dark, and it's conveying that it's dark, meaning you as the audience know it's dark, but you're still able to see what you're supposed to be able to see. And then there's Game of Thrones dark, which is like behind me dark. And it's like, fuck you. Fuck you. We didn't want to hire the extras. We didn't want to do the set design. So like the White Walkers, like there was mountains maybe behind. Go screw yourself. This is just what you're going to get.
Or they did some kind of weird day for night thing.
Yeah. Fight. Oh yeah. You have to. Like, well, if we shoot there in the day, we're going to have to make it. I'm like, you don't need to do that. You could like shoot. You know what I mean? Any fight scene, just crazy with your just nobody should ever know what's going on. They wanted to keep people really on the edge of their feet. Like they shouldn't even know what's happening at all.
Well, there's a show that I really love. It's called Alice in Borderland, which I think I don't think it may be a game, or it's a graphic novel. It's one of them. And it's a horror show, but yet it's so bright and sunny. And I kind of like that, because I'm like, so they do in The Last of Us, they did color grading, but it doesn't suck out all of the color. Like you still like of the beautiful wintry scenes, like they were just gorgeous.
That's something that a game called Red Dead Redemption does really well. There's
Mhm.
something about westerns in the snow that are very, I don't know, it just really hits for me at least. It's impactful. Red Dead Redemption does it. You get a did you feel Red Dead Redemption vibes when you in the game in both? I don't forget which one came out before the other, but anyways, Wild West in the snow is great. Like these, I think that you see these spreads because out west it gets it's out in the
Well,
mountains.
I mean,
So
Red Dead
cold.
Redemption is fantastic for world building and open world. Like that game, Red Dead 1 and 2, Rockstar in general are kings of, detail. And especially in Red Dead, they made that world feel so lived in and alive, especially because like they have this sort of 80-second rule where when you're traversing, they have some sort of interaction occur.
Yeah.
So that you're always kept engaged and feel like it's a real world you're in.
Yeah, like in Grand Theft Auto, you'll have some woman like say something like absurd. You'll be like, really obscene. I won't even repeat it. But in Red Dead, my brother, I want shame on my brother James, who he complains to me because you have to hit the stamina on the horse. He doesn't like that you can't just. I'm sorry, James. Sorry that you got to put a little bit of work into the riding the horse. You know what I mean? Play Red Dead. It's worth it. Yeah, beautiful game. There's a unnamed medieval project that they're doing that's kind of looking like an open world medieval that I'm hoping to God they do it. I don't think they do story as well as other ones, but they definitely do the worlds. Just there's no better
Rockstar,
world,
right? Yeah,
I have a gambling problem in Grand Theft Auto. Like I go to the casino and I gamble and I play blackjack.
I definitely agree. For most of their games, they don't feel that way. But I think Red Dead Redemption 2 specifically. I mean, I loved 1 as well, but 2 was like it blew me because I had this sort of expectation, and then it just was like, oh, okay, wow, they're actually gonna do this really, really well in terms of the story, and I actually ended up crying a lot after that game. I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they
I want to go back to so I don't why I want to sort of bring this up is like, do you know Rain from The Office?
Yeah. You're talking about we're gonna talk about Christianity.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, so did you hear about this, Farhan? So that villain, and the preacher. I don't even know if you call him a preacher. Technically, he's not. He's like a cult leader.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's the difference between a cult and a religion? 100 years. What is the saying? It is what.
Yeah.
It is.
But
he's not like an official.
He even admits at one point he's not even really,
like there's not an official government. So
yeah.
Yeah, and so Rain said, "Oh, how come every time there's a Christian character depicted that it's always like that?" And I was like, well, actually, there's a good one in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but he's a coward. Yeah, but here's what I say to Rain. I say, number one, we have a history of overcorrecting things. Meaning like we go from like being really ignorant about things, and then we feel Christianity safe. So like I was an altar boy, and I now I'm agnostic, but I'm just saying like I respect people that have their own beliefs. It is what it is. I see his point that there is a lot of that, but what I say to Rain is go make a show. You have the power to change it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is a trope that is highly played on. Sorry, but people that want control do it spiritually. One of the main spiritualities is Christianity. So it really just, I'm sorry, by default lends itself to it. I think without even any ill intent, right? Without any malice, I think that Christianity finds itself in the spot because as a storyteller, I see how this works. Like, it works because if you want to be in control, you need to either have money and power. If you don't have money and power, religion is a good way. Faith, right? Like, so like, what is the ongoing? You're not going to be like, well, jump on over on the Mormon. You know what I mean? Like, some things are harder to twist people for. So it tends to be the default. I think that he's not absolutely. I think that that's never going to come off because nobody wants to hear, oh, poor Christians. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. You're not that. It's not as bad. I think fair point. And also, you're an actor and you make things. You produce things. Make something. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you change things. Do it.
Well, was he in the game? That character?
No. The character, no.
So that was created for the show then.
Oh, which character? Oh, you mean David?
Sorry, the preacher or the
David's in the game. I don't think they ever say that he's like a preacher or whatever because they never actually show his people like in terms of like what happens in in terms of inside the walls. Like the only time that you see is people are like the men that are trying to shoot at you when Joel is trying to save her. But yeah, you don't get to see any of the other parts. Like I think the only other kind of guy that you see is James, and that's about it. Maybe one other guy.
Yeah, they're not reading Psalms when they're shooting.
Well, Jack said he was a terrible leader because he was feeding his people.
Yeah, that.
Well, then Jack needs to lay off there. Then I'm gonna
I have to say, I have to say that was a bit of a weird trope because in if we're looking at other zombie lore, okay, so for instance, even though it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be Montana. Where's it supposed to take place? It's shot in Alberta, but it's supposed to be like Wyoming or something. Why would there be no animals? Like I've watched Alone season 10, the whole season. Why would there be no animals? And if now winter has come, so yeah, but before that you would have been able to make a ton of jerky and stuff like that. There should have been no reason. And why I'm saying that is in the movie The Road, where they are eating humans. It's the end of the world. Like there's no there's no plants, there's no animals, everything is gone. And then in The Walking Dead, that's a particular cult that likes to just barbecue people. So that
happens now.
So well, maybe, I don't know. So whereas in this one, I'm like going, this doesn't even make any sense. That and the fact that no one wears hats, which always pisses me off.
Well, I will combat that with a little, even though now we're getting into schematics that, okay, these are not necessarily people that are all like, this is a group of just real people, not all of them competent. I'm not a great hunter. Okay, like I'm not going to be able to provide for you guys. Like if like that's what, so like you have that aspect of it.
That's
so,
why they wanted to steal Ellie's deer in the first place, right? Like they just
she went out and caught it. She saw a rabbit and a deer, like in like I'm gonna go out and get some food, and then that's what she saw
in this version. Whereas in the game, the very first shot when it opens into winter is, and it made a lot of streamers cry. Anyway.
Yeah, don't mistake like the availability of food for the capability of people getting food, right? Like,
well, see, what Terra Incognita says makes way more sense. Cannibal Priest just wanted to eat people, and you can't convince me otherwise. See, that makes sense to the story, but he was acting like it was, a shame. Like he was shamed by it.
Well, because it's like he's got to keep control of these people, and it's not really easy to keep control of people if you're admitting to eating them. So it's a problem. It's also a power struggle issue. So like it's a trope. But I honestly, people are incompetent as hell, Heidi. Like I think you'd be surprised.
It's 20 years after an apocalypse. It's been 20 years.
And when does the end of the world? It's not like it just
happened like 6 weeks earlier.
Yeah,
they're still eating Chef Boyardee in tins.
Okay, but we've seen people inject Lysol into their veins just months after.
Yeah,
like
Heidi, people are so incompetent. Yes, thank you, Farhan.
That's not very.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. No, but I mean, all of the dead people would technically, like I told you already, that I would be gone. Like I would be gone. So like that was the other thing I was going to say about Rain is that I think that all of the good people would be gone, and I think that might have been a line in The Walking Dead. That all of the good people are dead.
Yeah. You want
all
to
of the nice, kind, generous, loving individuals are dead. Now all we're left with is this.
Have an ethical conversation, go to a graveyard. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll tell you what, Heidi, and I was about to put you on my shoulders for that tyrannical reign I was going to have, but you keep talking crap about me making people eat people. You're out of here. Yeah, like you're a problem. You're not getting
the only reason
food.
why I have an issue with it is I'm fine with pretty much every horror trope except for cannibalism. That is the thing that I can't watch Hannibal, even though Christopher designed it. I told him I'm really sorry I can't watch your show, but it's about eating people. And I mean, even like Soylent Green, kind of freaked me right out.
But like Farhan just elegantly put, like, honestly, Heidi, we're about 2 weeks separated from being like cannibals at all moments. Like, really, like we're not a competent society.
I told you I'd be going to the drugstore. I'd be like, I probably could put something together in my home. Probably,
Yeah. This is the exact type of attitude that leads to people eating people. Okay, you're mapping this out perfectly. Go to the pharmacy, get drugs, make something in my home. Yes, that's why people are eating people, and they're not proficient hunters. But yeah, it is. And somebody put in there too that it makes sense because a different country, it might not be a passer, but because of the small town, especially when where they're at Midwest, like mentality, like that. Yeah, like I said, this is the common religion. So religion is power. Yeah. So somebody put that in the chat. I thought it was smart too, that to put maybe a different country, not one of the Latin Americas. That would definitely still be Christianity. But
so naturals. Are you talking about the food made of people? Look.
Just get over it at this point. And when do you get the sticker that it's the end of the world? Like I think this is it's fair enough. It's done. You know what I mean?
Also, I know we already kind of talked to this like conversation already about the Joel's ethical dilemma or whatever. But there was one thing I wanted to add that kind of maybe puts this a little bit into perspective as well. Is that okay? I know this is kind of spoilers for Life is Strange. It's another game where you make decisions. This was you actually actively make your decisions in that game. This came out in 2015. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for this and you want to go play it, go ahead, click mute this for a little bit. And
no,
anyway.
They can't leave.
No, I just said mute it for a second.
Oh.
If you don't want to hear it, but whatever. It's been out for a long time. So anyway, but by the end of the game, you are essentially left with an ethical choice where you got to make sure like you either save, your best friend or you save the town, right? In one split-second decision. And I remember when I played that, I was like 16. No, wait, how old was it? No, it came out. It came out a few years before, and then I played it a few years after. So I think I was maybe 17, 18 actually. And a split-second decision. I was just like in the moment. I chose to save my friend. I chose to save her.
Oh, it's a her. That changes it a little bit. Because how much money do I owe this best friend at this point?
No, but you play as a female in that game too. Oh. You're both right.
Still.
Anyway. So at that moment I chose that, but then just reflecting back just like a year or two later, I was like kind of regretting it and I wasn't entirely sure. But again, that was a split-second decision. It just happened in the moment.
Yeah, I guess so. Those types of decisions, what you're getting at, don't age well, right? Because that would linger on your mind, like all of humanity. Yeah.
My point is, it just happens sometimes, and especially, I mean, I guess I was young too, right? And but at the moment, you just
and
people aren't
that's
thinking always logically, right?
That's a good point about Joel or even Ellie. Like sometimes you have to make a decision, and and it's very quick. So like, for instance, when he goes and there's this guy who puts his hands up and he shoots him anyway, people are like, well, that guy was surrendering. And I mean, he may have just been like he may have just been like in a zone.
This happens in war a lot. Quite recently, a lot. Yeah, this happens a lot, people. When you're killing people, it's hard. Yeah, hands get put. Yeah.
Like he did leave the nurses though, because I think the nurses kind of they turned their backs to him.
They did what you should do in a robbery.
They did. They did. Yeah, so
but
they did what he said.
I've seen people on YouTube go as far as pull out a flamethrower.
Oh, you can go nuts. I went nuts. Yeah, I went nuts. Like I had my violence. I had some of that. All you people talking about jerky in there. Listen. Talk about that all day long until you're eating people. You're gonna eat the people. You need to be quiet.
Where'd you get this food from? As she's making this stew.
You bring us all jerky then, okay? If you're still competent, you're all it's all talk.
But also just like I don't know, the whole eating people thing. Like I don't know. I find it a huge. It's kind of just done. I didn't find it very original. I guess is sort of what I said. Yeah. I actually found.
Well, okay. To be fair, a lot of those sort of tropes were more so original at the time because it is 10 years at this point. Like even like the father-daughter dynamic, you see that everywhere now. But at the time, it was a pretty new thing.
Okay, that's fair enough. Because because I like The Road. I don't even know when I saw because it's Cormac McCarthy. I saw that ages ago, and that was just devastating when I saw that. Like. It was, really, really awful. And in The Walking Dead, like you could kind of, I mean, the way They just, that's the other thing about The Walking Dead. They just have to just take it to like next level. They just have, they just take it next level. And I think my husband got to the point where he's like, I can't watch this thing anymore. I just can't. Like, it's just, like it's so Evil, over the top and preposterous in so many ways.
Everybody should have been living like Shane the whole freaking time. What is Carl? Is it Carl? Get over it. Yeah, like Shane had it right the whole time. Shane was just ahead of his time, and he got killed for it. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah, Carl, actually, I was thinking about you just now because I was thinking about Carl sitting on the roof eating that giant container of pudding. I was thinking about that the other day. He's sitting there with his giant tin of pudding.
That kid's whole acting thing.
I remember Chandler Riggs saying, like in I think it was a Comic-Con thing or something, or some interview, saying that like he basically had so many tubs that day that he doesn't want to look at pudding ever again.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Does he know what a spit bag is? They have them on set. I heard Chandler Riggs' dad talk way more than I should ever hear an actor's dad talk. That when he left that show, that just turned me off. And I know it's not the kid's fault probably, but that guy's dad ran tours around the set there. He's just a dick. Like when Chandler was like, yeah, you could tell he's just a stage hand, dad. Like it was just so bad. Like I was just like, oh, you're ruining your kid's career, man. Like they probably don't. It's like, yeah, they didn't tell you not to do these tours, Chandler's dad. But Chandler, dad. Yeah, his dad. Okay, the kid that played Shane, or not Shane, Carl. His dad like ran tours around the Walking Dead set. So they probably didn't say specifically in the contract not to do that, but here's a hint. Probably don't do that shit. You know what I mean? Like probably be cool. Probably don't be like such, like he's like the guy that's going to like get the rights for the calendar, get the right for the right. Like he was a big, when Carl was off the show, his dad like threw a fit too. Like I always hearing from his dad, and the kid's like 17 at the time, and I'm like, oh, you run tours too? What, your tours gonna slow down? It's like, yeah, that just turned me off. To that. I mean, it's not the kid's fault, but he also didn't have to eat all that pudding. You could just, there's a spit bag, you can do it.
Well, anyway, so what else do we want to talk about? What other characters? Do you want to talk about Ellie a little bit? Like,
because she's gonna be taking main stage.
Well, so Farhan, there has been some talk that they're renewing doing season 2, and there's an age up, I guess, of Ellie that takes place. I don't know the game or anything. I just read that, and it's interesting too because the actress who plays Bella Ramsey, she is playing a 14-year-old, but in reality, she's like 19.
She's 19, but
so it's much younger.
Yeah, but in part 2, Ellie's supposed to be 19. Yet she's, and so she's technically the right age, yes, but she doesn't quite look it, in my opinion. But yeah, by the time they get there, and also I think they're changing the timeline a little bit. Right?
How was the second game? Now, Farhan, tell me, how was it received? Is there any any type of contention? Because I've heard rumors that on Reddit.
I feel like you know this.
Oh no, tell me. So it was the second. Now the first game. This is rare. This game was like toted right away. Like it was like this game didn't like build up. This game was right away. It was a great game. The first game, meaning like it came out of Naughty Dog, right? That's what makes they're not really known like for all their great. I mean, they have good games. But they're not known for like
Uncharted
story. Yeah, I know, but get what I mean. Like this is like an out. Like this was a big thing, and then 2 came out. And it seems, now I've heard, is there any contention over this? Are there people that disagree over this topic about maybe where season 2 is going?
No, everyone is completely united on that game.
Good.
That is
I was hoping that was it.
The least divisive game ever, and everyone is happy about the result of the ending.
Thank God. That's usually how it is, because fandoms never ruin each other. They never do
that. I'm like a little. I'm really curious as to how they're going to handle season 2 with that going in. I mean, I know they said that they're going to stick to the main sort of thing. I don't know exactly when certain things are going to take place, like, and when they're going to put it in each episode, and if they're going to make slight changes here and there to serve the television audience. But
straight up, Farhan, should they do it though? In my opinion, they should stop now.
Should they do what, season 2, or
should they be doing this? I don't think they should
at all. I think they should.
Oh, really?
It's not a. Yeah,
it's a big. This is where you get the crap. This is where you get all the crap that you dealt with.
We're gonna go through this.
This sucks.
discourse and controversy yet again, which was exhausting. But hey,
Yes.
this is the media stuff we're talking about. We always have discourse and
Hi,
controversy
Tatiana.
with everything. So, I mean, if we're going to go through it again, we're going to go through it again. I actually, as someone who personally didn't like the results, I think I'm a little I'm fine talking to people who did like it. I'm glad you enjoyed it and whatever. And I actually might reevaluate my thing once I play it again.
So you didn't like the game, but you still agree it should happen. Okay, that's interesting.
But I think it shouldn't change.
Gotcha.
Because it's done. It's done, and this is the way it went. And I prefer to stick to what is there than having it changed, just for the sake of for the audience.
Yeah. So I guess the interesting thing to ask here is, so I guess spoiler alert a little bit. Okay, so Joel is older, people. Now I've not played the second game, but how long can Joel still be a part of this series?
Okay,
I think that's why they're talking about spreading it out, right, Farhan? Because they need to keep
right.
him around.
So yes, that, but also, because basically they're changing it from what I understand. Season 2 is going to be picking up almost right away. Right, that's why the age that he is in season 1 is actually the age he's supposed to be in part 2, right?
Yeah.
So they just basically wanted to make it so that he is the one continuous age, I guess, or closer in age. And so I don't know, because Pedro Pascal is so beloved and stuff, especially now amongst the fans. I think that I have a feeling or an inkling that they're gonna sort of prolong it a little bit as much as they can and sort of stretch out. From what I've heard, they're going to stretch out actually part 2 across multiple seasons, so probably 2 or 3 seasons. And in that case, I think they'll reserve that big moment for the finale or towards the finale.
But how long can they get? How far can they get in this series? Because here's the thing, people. The reason people don't like the second game, a lot of the big reason is because that Joel you like, he's not in it so much. How long can they really go keeping Joel alive? And are they really doing the second game, Farhan, if they're keeping him around for that long?
Yeah, they're probably going to add a lot of stuff in between.
Yeah.
What I would have initially thought that they were going to do before they announced any of this, that they was going to do part 2, was I thought they were going to do seasons that led up into in between, because there's a 5-year span in between the games. And I actually would have preferred that, honestly, and then got into that at towards the end. I think that would have been much more satisfying, because you could have naturally progressed with those characters and whatever. But okay, they're doing it this way. I don't know. I think maybe they're going to add some other stuff, because there's a lot of stories and things that they left on the cutting board and that they couldn't fit in the game and they wanted to, but they thought that just wouldn't really work, that they'd just be shoving shit in for the sake of it. And so maybe there's some stuff there, but I don't know. I don't know. I think they would probably continue at least until the end of that season 2.
Because you have a purist approach, which I appreciate, meaning you don't want them to change much. Really, how long can it? Because how many episodes could you think they could get away with without? I say 3 without Joel. That's how many in the series you could get away with it without having Joel. 3. I think you could get away with 3 episodes.
I think you can do 2 seasons.
2 seasons without Joel?
Yeah, no, I'm saying if they do, because they're splitting part 2 into 2 or 3 seasons. Right?
I don't think that's even doing part 2. That's just doing
third?
You're just filling.
Yeah, so I think they could towards episode 8 or 9 of season 2, the moment can happen. I know I'm trying to dance around it. Heidi, I'm sorry if this is already sort of.
Oh, no.
No, I'm putting him in a tough spot. Yeah.
But anyway, so if they put that there, maybe they could do it. I don't know. We'll have
because
to see.
that's like saying you're doing Titanic, but Jack goes to the liquor store and you do a whole season of him going shopping.
Okay,
you get what I mean?
I am, Carl. It's true.
I mean, unless it is HBO, so it's not like they haven't been daring and episode 1.
Yeah,
right?
I mean that would be true, right? I mean,
but
that would be more on point.
It's funny because I always thought Rick was I stopped watching The Walking Dead, but I always thought, okay, Rick is Rick and Carl. I always looked at them not Lori. I was like, whatever, Lori.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Lori was cool. Everybody gave her.
Never liked Lori.
Yeah.
But Carl and his dad, I always thought Rick. I always thought, okay, those two are the anchor characters in the show, and then if they die, then I think that would be the end of the show. And I was wrong. I was like, okay, well, so much.
Okay, but were you wrong, or were they wrong for doing it?
Because they're
not going well.
So that is actually a good point. So, okay, for The Walking Dead, I don't know if you guys heard of the show called Wayward Pines. We just finished.
Oh, I heard it.
recently
Oh,
watched that.
Wayward Pines is the same. Isn't it the Duffer Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I have to watch that.
Okay.
Don't tell me any spoilers in that then.
Okay. Well, season 1 is worth watching, I will say.
Okay.
Season 2, don't bother.
It's not bad. Okay.
It's not like Game of Thrones season 8 in that they just decide to just do things because I don't know.
Yeah.
I stopped watching 4 episodes into season 2. I'll just say that. Okay. Anyway, season 1, pretty great. Season 2, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, so then same thing with Walking Dead. It has a similar problem. Right.
Farhan,
And
did
that's
you just swear?
Yes, I did. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Ding 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 ding.
Have I not
Farhan, I've
sworn
never
before?
heard you. I've never heard a potty mouth come out of your mouth before.
Really?
Yeah, no, you.
I've heard you straight up order murders.
Gentile gentleman.
For real, like, and you never swore. Like, you've done atrocious things, but you always do it with like a lot of like vanity and a lot of like a lot of grace. Let me say.
Well,
I've never
thank
heard,
you.
yeah, no,
No,
but Bella, I want to. Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to put this up. I think Bella.
Oh,
Ramsey
you
is
did that.
up
I thought
there
I did. I was like,
so I want to just put that
up.
up there. I'm sorry. Then I will not interrupt you again. Let me just say I'm not dispelling. I think she's a great actress, and I think that there is probably maybe more than 3 episodes. I'm not saying it because she's weak or the character's weak. I'm saying this is the way. Number one, Joel's a pretty big part of it, and this is the reason the game's not all that liked because of the way in which he dies, and he's not in it. So like, is it really doing to the second game if they just do all the in-between stuff? I don't know. I think that she definitely could carry a show, and I think that there might be an argument that you could have with me if done right, because they seem to do the first season right. And they do keep Ellie living in the same way we've seen past. Yeah, it could go further.
There's another
whole
sort of
season,
point
though.
I want to bring into that in a second.
Go ahead.
But let me finish what I was saying before.
Yeah. Sorry.
With Walking Dead, the issue there, and the reason why I stopped watching, and a lot of people stopped watching, was because, again, I know this is all spoilers, but come on, these have been out for a long time. But anyway, Rick, he's off the show. And then I'm like, okay, well, at least we have Carl, right? You know, because I don't mind a sort of main, like a protagonist sort of, you know, leaving a show or dying or whatever, right? As long as the secondary or somebody can fill their spot. Like they have, like it boosts their arc and they sort of take their place. That didn't happen with Carl because we know what happens to him. And so
they killed him at a weird time. They did.
Yeah. And so I'm okay with the same thing with Joel if it's as long as it serves the thing with Ellie. And that's kind of my contention with the game itself. Again, I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but yeah, like I don't know, maybe they could do it if they like sort of stretch it out, and I think they can, because there are moments in like throughout the game where they have like flashback moments that are set like in between 1 and 2, right? And where sort of, like Ellie's harboring these angry feelings towards Joel because of what he did and whatever. And there are a lot of moments. There are also some sweet moments as well. And some of my favorite moments of that game is from those flashbacks. So I think if they put all that stuff in beforehand and then get to that moment, yeah, I think they could do it.
I didn't know that was a part of the game, so that's interesting. That it's still very much driven by the relationship. So
right,
and I think still be a part of it. Sentiment, yeah.
And I think they could also spend a little bit of time actually exploring more about Abby and her backstory, right? Rather than just being like, "Hey, this thing happens." Right. The reason I didn't particularly I had a thing to like a negative reaction towards the second game was
like Abby?
Thing happens. Well, thing happens.
What?
You know what happens? You really? Should I just okay?
Abby kills Joel. Yeah, Abby kills Joel. This is people.
Don't do spoilers from the game.
It's the game. It's the game. It's what happens right away.
That,
Abby,
Justin,
Joel
because
gets killed by somebody.
The game.
You have.
Justin.
It's already out there.
The
it's out there. It's been
I
out
know
since
if you look for it. If you look for it, but like as we know that they
wait,
now
what, the second one?
Now I'm not going to watch.
It was 2020.
But they're not doing that right away. So Joel's not going it. But we already said Joel dies. So what does it matter if you know?
No, I'd read that. I'd read that online as well.
So what does you matter? You don't know who Abby even is. So now you just know.
Okay, but now
I do. I think I know who she is.
Okay, so my problem was that and it's probably now gonna ruin it for you, and maybe you'll feel the same way now because you just found out. Sorry, Heidi.
Oh,
but
that's okay.
The reason is because that thing happened. and then we're introduced to the character, and then we
Yeah.
go on a journey with her.
Not
If
before.
I would already introduced to the character, maybe I would have added some emotion. But while I'm playing that after the fact, I'm just seething with hatred, being forced to play as somebody I don't like.
Who
for
murdered
10
your
hours,
friend? Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
And
interesting.
so
So
I didn't like
yeah.
that. And then
Yeah.
same thing with like Ellie makes like it's a revenge story. And so Ellie makes like, you know, these decisions, especially towards the end. It's like, oh, should I do it? Not should it? Whatever, right? She has this kind of thing, dilemma. And I get it from a human standpoint. I understand that. But as a player who doesn't even get to make those decisions, it really bugged me because it was like I'm forced to do something and then not do something and then do something and then not do. I'm like, God damn it, Ellie, make up your goddamn mind. And that pissed me off at the time. Maybe I need more reflection, and that's why I'm gonna reconsider and reevaluate it. And I do respect people who do like the game and enjoy it, but personally,
all three of you.
Farhan is such a troublemaker.
Yeah,
like,
what a
he's
sense.
like,
No,
he's
what a
being
sensible
respectful
person.
of people. And
did you hear what he just said? He's like, and so I respect the people that do. What? That is so sensible of
you're
you.
such a rabble rouser,
Wow,
Farhan.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you're pretty
Like,
much saying that if you're gonna kill my favorite
start
character,
brawls and bars and stuff like that.
I do.
if
every
you're gonna
day.
kill my favorite character, Farhan saying at least buy me dinner first is what you're saying, right? Like,
Exactly.
but I think to be honest, like you can shit on me for doing the spoiler, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense. The spoilers, Joel dies. You don't know who Abby is. The problem is that it's a character that takes
I think I know
pretty
who
much
she is.
the
I read
main.
about it.
Well, it's just another character that you don't know yet, so it didn't really spoil anything. What he's getting at is that you're introduced to her by the killing of Joel. So there's no like, there's no courting of us as the viewer, right?
Well,
There's
I honestly don't. I honestly don't think that. I mean, if they're gonna, I mean, you know, Sean Bean, you know, he gets killed off of every show, but I think you could argue, at least in Game of Thrones, well, he dies in the book, but also it's an ensemble cast, whereas, you know, I look at Pedro Pascal as being an anchor character, actor in a show. And it would be like, that would be like having a mall and closing down your Walmart, you know, as your anchor store. And then you just be left with your crappy little 70s mall.
Stupid. That would be stupid. Yeah, that's what. Then you just have a mall.
So you do. There is like one
they're not
particular.
Walmart's not in the mall.
There is one particular section where you do play as Abby for a very short little bit before that happens, right? But that didn't feel like enough for me to get to know the character, and then that happens, and I'm like, oh well, fuck you. I don't want to see this again.
There's also a lot of contention about how she kills him, right? Like about like Joel would never get killed like that. Joel would never.
Well, okay, so Joel, he softens himself, and then he's like, he just like is immediately sort of trusting, and people argue that it's because, you know, over time in the last 5 years he's become a bit more, you know, trusting towards people. But I don't know, it was just weird that happened. And then, you know, the one sort of Joel just happens to be like, he just says, oh, my name is this, and they're like, oh, what the hell, your name is exactly Joel Miller? And he's like, yeah, and then that happens, and I'm like, oh, okay, that seems a little. But
also, like, you know, I mean, anybody, I mean, you get somebody on the right time on a Tuesday and you beat them to death at the golf club. Like, I mean, Joel is not invincible. Like, you know, like you see that. So it's like, I think that's when we get into schematics, but I think I agree. I like what you said, because I haven't played the game, but I know the arguments with it of like the whole, like, I think that what you said makes a lot of sense, because you're forced, this character is almost just, it's not almost, it is forced upon you. It's like, hey, no more Joel. Here you go. Here's your broccoli. Eat it, right, kid? Like take it. Like, yeah, and you're like,
well, no, I don't mind his as long as it is an anchor to,
as long as it passes
characters, right, and a characters progresses in a, you know, in a particular way. But I didn't see that personally from
is
Ellie.
a waste, because that's a good point, because it's almost like professional wrestling or even fighting.
I had heard of these spoilers and leaks before, like, sort of, but I tried to avoid them
before Justin.
And I had heard about like it being shit and everyone was shitting on it. And I was like, it's not that bad for the first half of the game. I'm like, I actually am really enjoying it. And then by the end of the game, I'm like, okay, well, now I kind of understand, because it didn't feel earned to me. But
yeah, it's you know, the second's never going to be as good as the first, and so forth. And I think that there's like an old saying about like a wrestling and even MMA, like where like the old are fed to the young, meaning like you can have strength built up to the character by the character dying, meaning you give the power to the person that kills them, right? Like it can be handed off in a very, like, that can be used, that energy can be encompassed, and that it can go forward. So I think it's interesting what to see. I think I don't want to get into the whole woke stuff and people being like, oh, it's propaganda and it's this, and I see that a lot with these arguments, and that just makes me just not want to be. I loved this season, guys, so much. This season made me feel so great about storytelling again that I was happy to do these streams. I did feel like, because like even House of the Dragon wasn't that great in my opinion, and people don't like hearing me say that, so it's like, I just keep me out of there. Last of Us, I loved it. It was pure, guys. It made me feel good. It was great storytelling. Now we're gonna get clogged with this nonsense.
Yeah, Justin, you've upset some people here.
Whatever.
We don't know how this season's going to go. Justin was sort of just speculating based on the game, but Justin, yeah, you did spoil it for some people. So
I said what happens in the game.
No, I know, but the show is based on the game. That's like, some people don't want to know what happens. Like, I'm not a book reader of
I'm sorry.
certain. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you did know Joel died and nobody had a problem with that. But now,
I knew because I read ahead. Like, I read because I wanted.
Spoiler.
Well, I know it's a spoiler, but I didn't announce it. Like, some people don't want to, know what happens.
Yeah, but we already announced he died.
Anyways,
so
guys,
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm going to apologize on behalf of Justin.
I'm not. I mean, honestly, like we said, he died at the beginning. Nobody cared about that, but now you hear it was a person named Abby.
I felt like I was going through the tall grass in the game where you're just like in pro and trying to dodge those, but
I don't believe in that. Honestly, it's out there. I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, Fandom, how are you? Phantom's saying, playing the video game. I was like, it's okay. What do you think about that comment?
Well, how about, I haven't even played the game and it was spoiled for me, so I'm the victim that made everybody else a victim. So
no, Natural, like, I have to watch it. I've heard it's really good. Oh yeah, with the red wedding. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It was funny because before I had seen Star Wars, I found out, I was so upset. I think I found out that that Han Solo gets killed or something. I don't know. There was some major spoiler I read and I was like, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in the show. They could go a completely different direction.
Also, events aren't story. You knew the Titanic sank. You still like the movie. You know what I mean?
I was still watching it. I was like, maybe it'll be different.
Events.
I don't think it will be. I mean, there might be some changes here and there, but I think largely it will be the same. Because when Neil Druckmann was asked, like, if they're going to change any of those kinds of things, he said basically no. Like, those are pretty much going to remain.
Damn. If you guys need a villain, I'll be it. That's fine with me. Yeah. I told you not to have me on.
The game is JK. The game is 1,000 times better. Have you played the game, Panelist? Obviously, Justin hadn't. Oh, sorry. What are you talking about? Phantom? JK?
JK, the game. So you haven't played the game, Panelist. Obviously, Justin. No, I said I didn't. I didn't play the second game, David.
No, Justin was just saying that he didn't think that House of the Dragon was as good as
it wasn't just hype. Praise. Yeah.
I was kind of like that, but I think but I think it's because I was so disappointed in the costumes that it kind of made me feel really sad. I might go back and try watching it without looking at the costumes.
I might try to watch it without watching. Yeah, that's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough.
But then there are people who watched Lord of the Rings and hated that show, and I thought it was really good. So I'm like, what do I know?
Yeah, no, I didn't like Lord of the Rings. But anyway.
Wait, it wasn't good? I didn't know that. You guys ruined my life.
But yeah, what Carl says with the plot and stories, Mortal Kombat has a plot.
What is story. It? Mortal Kombat? Yeah. No. Get over here. They really pull you into the story.
No, it actually does have a good story.
I know. It has good lore. It has good lore, not good story.
For some reason, the movies for Mortal Kombat and Resident Evil, they just can't do them. They're very simple, straightforward stories to tell, and they're good stuff, but they just can't do it for some reason.
Because it's mythology, it's lore, it's not really a story. The story is because it's a fighting game, so like the lore is cool behind it, and the backstories of the characters could be explored, but like at the end of the day, the final product isn't a story. It's like
no, there is, especially in the
experience.
There's
I know there's lore. I get it. I'm not like
not just lore. I'm talking about like a full story.
Yeah, I haven't played those then. Yeah. Well, you should be the first to do it then. I mean, like they have not done well. In the past.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that reflective. I think everyone here, we don't really have, we only had a problem once when I was doing a live stream with Who was it doing with Alicia, and we had a few problems there, but other than that, everybody's been pretty good here.
No, I'm a bad man. But that's fine. I read Game of Thrones books that were out before they made the show, so it was a treat to hold on. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. I've never let that spoil anything for me. I think we could talk around it vaguely as much as we want, but I mean, it is what it is. You're gonna see it in Entertainment Weekly soon enough. Trust me. Let's see.
Okay, so what else should we talk about?
Well, we could talk about the numbers that it did compared to everything else. I mean, HBO has just been killing it and everybody else has been sinking. So I think that there is a little bit of pressure to put on this second season because, I mean, like HBO's been killing it with what's it called? We just did a video on it. It's very quirky.
White Lotus.
White Lotus, like
Yeah.
they've been kind of nailing it out of the park with the unexpected, and I think that a lot of people are. I think a lot of services right now, Mandalorian and stuff like that. Like I love Mandalorian, but like I think we've all been feeling a little bit of a drought, and HBO has been kind of knocking it out of the park. So they're running with the ball. Because I enjoyed this. I really mean it. And I'm sorry if I made anybody not enjoy. That's never my goal, to make somebody not enjoy something as much. You know what I mean? It is story, and I really think it's great. And I look forward to them enhancing it. And as long as they feel confident in doing it, then I'm with it. Like I agree with Bart, and I'm more of a purist. So like keep to it. Don't change it just to change it. Because then you're not really doing season 2, are you? You know? Yeah. So.
Oh, thanks, Reflective.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's really nice. Oh yeah, do you guys want to talk about Ellie's birth? That was really, really interesting. Like being Ellie's mom, Ellie being.
She did the natural. She did a natural. Spoiler: natural birth. It was a natural birth. They didn't.
Yeah,
use meds.
And it was really interesting though. The one thing I was going to say, we were talking about earlier how the actress who played her mom also plays Ellie. Yeah. But they kind of look alike.
They act alike. They got their mannerisms.
Yeah,
down.
like I was like, oh my gosh, like right away, I was like, that's Ellie's mom. I knew right away. And when she's running through the woods, but is there something in the game that explains why she is in the woods to begin with, like just about to
actually
have a baby?
That whole thing, it doesn't happen in the game.
No.
Okay.
That is one of the things that Druckmann left on the cutting floor. He wanted to put it in, but he couldn't. And so this is actually the first, and one of actually I like the last two. Like the last 2 episodes were my favorite of the season, and they were done really well in my opinion. And yeah, like especially the last episode. It was nice to see that because it was new content that even us video game fans had never seen. So yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard not to be in the
figure
woods.
That out. Like, why would she be out in the middle of nowhere? Just about to give birth.
Even as a game player, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Because I got lost, Farhan, and I don't understand the mini map. Lay off. I don't understand the sections. All right.
Now apparently they had real babies on set. Like that's pretty crazy. I actually have to say I like that birth because oftentimes they'll say someone delivered the baby. And I'm like, no, the baby delivers itself, or the mom delivers the baby. Like the baby will just come out, like whether there's someone there. And she's sitting on the floor, which is kind of smart. But it was funny because in the, what is it? There's a show. There's a show where a woman's about
House
to
of the Dragon
give
showed
birth.
18 half, like they showed.
In Wheel of Time. In Wheel of Time, there's a woman about to give birth while she's having a fight. And then here's the situation where she's fighting off a zombie while she's giving birth, which I'm like, I was willing to suspend my belief on that one.
So you're saying all these doctors are a bunch of schmucks and nobody needs them.
Well, no, I thought it was pretty realistic the way the baby just sort of
the baby's
came
coming.
out.
It's not saying, is this a good time?
Now they didn't show the afterbirth. Which they did do in, it was funny. They showed that in House of the Dragon, but there's
show
there's
18, you're gonna get one,
you're gonna but I thought I think they probably did have some fake babies, but I saw in the behind the scenes that they actually had multiple babies.
It was like twins or something.
Pretty crazy though.
But I think it was like depending on the shot. No, I mean it.
Rand's mom.
They also like when it fell out.
That scene in Wheel of Time. Oh my god.
I don't know what I feel about that. I'd rather have them use an animatronic. I don't know. Is it really?
I think they did as well.
Babies? Yeah,
I think they did as well. Like for
the people that sell their babies
fell out, But and like when they had to handle it and whatever. But like for like shots where it showed their face, for the realism, then yeah.
And it was interesting because because we were wondering like in other zombie apocalypse, there's usually at least 1% of the population who has natural immunity. Like that's usually pretty much every situation, like AIDS or any kind of like deadly disease. I don't know about Ebola, but pretty much every disease. So I was thinking
AIDS
it's
is
1%,
deadly?
but then it's like, oh, well, it crosses the placenta. I thought like it was sort of a little bit dodgy in terms of it and being a kind of science behind it, because it would have had to have crossed the placenta. And I don't know if it would have crossed that quickly to the baby.
I don't.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't. I don't know when that crosses the placenta.
So when you're pregnant, you have a baby. The baby gets all of its nutrients and everything from you.
The placenta. Yeah, the placenta is.
If you do, like, for instance, if you do drugs, it crosses the placenta.
Oh, okay. You mean okay? So yeah. So you would have cross contamination.
By the time the zombie bit her, got into her bloodstream, would it have had enough time to get into the baby?
Well, when does the baby stop eating or stop? Because they cut the tube after, right? So like
the umbilical cord,
I get what you're saying.
Once the umbilical cord is cut, it's severed. So it's like, did she just get enough of a dose to give her immunity, or
because that's pretty much like sharing needles, is what you're saying? It's, you're mainlining.
She did cut the cord with a knife.
They never quite explain how she's immune, but there are theories like Matt Pat from Game Theory. He has one where actually explains that she's not actually immune. So you can.
It's growing all over her, by the way. Yeah.
I can't remember his full explanation, but yeah, you guys can check that out.
Is that Natural? Is that Misfits, like the British show? You have to tell me about.
So what I understand, what's going on with Ellie in the pseudoscience world here is that Ellie is not immune. It's just like, well, she's immune to an extent because these things work off. They don't actually attach to the core of the brain in real science. That they do is they send signals through muscles and stuff to make you attach. The ants attached to a tree, and then the branch. It's a horror show. It's really bad. They make you a slave to it. So like they mess with your it's neurological. They mess with your nervous system and stuff like that. My understanding of Ellie is it's all over her, but they did change it from the game to the show as well. The actual spore, it's a different type of spore. I forget exactly what's different about it, but the point is this is all over Ellie. It's just she is not having the signals are not being they're not detecting, like, meaning she's not being controlled. It's there,
right? But it's still cordyceps in both.
Yeah, it's all over her. Like it's all over her when they do the scan. Like they didn't show that in the show, but like it's supposedly all over her. So like what you would ideally do in that situation is like try to clone those those cells, I guess.
So you don't think that she got infected because her mother was bitten?
Well, I think here's the thing. Ellie's not. I don't see. Okay, so the question is she immune because of what happened at her mother's at the conception, right? I think that like Ellie, for some reason, just her biological makeup is just immune to it. So I think the same reason she didn't get sick, right, is the same reason she didn't get sick after when she gets bit, if that makes sense. I think it's not. It's just by chance. I think it's happenstance. I think they're ambiguous about this. That's my take on it. Is that she's not? But I see how we could draw the conclusion, right? That she, because of this odd timing, right? Maybe she got just enough of it. Kind of like you're talking about being inoculated, right?
Inoculated, exactly.
Okay. I'm getting. So it's all coming together. Yeah, crossing.
That's what I thought because. So for instance, like say if the mother has, if you have AIDS, the baby will have AIDS if you're born with the baby. But what if the mother got infected with AIDS just as she was delivering?
Well, not all, because it is protected. There are a lot of cases where the baby is not, but HIV, it all depends. But a lot of that can be with antibiotics and all this can be stopped. I know now. But yeah, that's interesting. So what you're saying though is pretty much saying like they got a little bit of the smallpox, right?
Yeah. That's what I sort of took from it, because then I'm thinking, well, why would they do it that way otherwise, unless they wanted it just to make it really traumatic?
I think it's bring up more of these questions though, because they entertain these types of debates and conversations, right? But they're not going to give you the answer. So we don't know. It's interesting because could it be? We don't know. We don't know what makes her the way she is. She's just an odd DNA specimen.
Because like, for instance, like there's certain types of treatments where they do, like say if you have anaphylactic anaphylactic allergies, they'll give you just the tiniest little bit of it, like you say, like an inoculation. Like they talk about it in actually, it's really interesting in the Great. Marie Antoinette was, or not Marie Antoinette, sorry, Catherine the Great was quite intelligent, and she had this idea that if you gave just a tiniest little bit of pox to people, that it would give them some kind of
They
immunity,
all did it in the garden. They did it famously in the garden.
Yeah,
who was the first to get inoculated.
So it was sort of that's what I was thinking. Whereas in The Walking Dead, everyone's infected, right? They just are automatically infected until they die, and then they turn.
It's like a cancer cell type of deal with that.
Yeah.
It's like the cells will eventually, that is the end result, no matter what. You're all got it going on. I think what you're talking about is like the old school inoculations, like they used to do with pox and all that. Even like in the like around our American Revolution. You guys are Canadians, so you don't know anything about this, but in our American Revolution, like John Adams and all that, around that time, they would go and they would take pustules from the people with smallpox, and they would make an incision, and you would get a little. It's the same idea, you know what I mean? It's just a little messier,
like a little bit, just a little bit of poison. It's
just a little bit of AIDS.
It's kind of like in the Dread Pirate Roberts, like he talks about how he's immune to iocane powder because he would have a little pinch of it, which, I mean, I don't know if that would actually be true with poison, but you would develop an immunity to it, which I suppose, I don't know. So that's sort of what I went. And so that's why I thought when she got bit and it just left a scar, that was her immune system attacking it. That's what I thought. Her immune system was attacking it, and that's why it left a scar there on her wrist.
It's just not receptive. I think she just has lazy cells. Like her cells are just like, I see what you're doing. Like, and we're not into it. Like, we're not doing that shit. We're barely even like doing muscle contractions over here. So get fucking lost, you cordyceps. Like we're not like gonna buy into this gambit you got going on. It's a terrifying thing. It's terrifying. The branches, like they literally attach to a tree and then grow through it. It's demonic. It really, that's what makes this great as well, is it's based in science. Let's see. The vaccine derived from the Latin word vacca.
Carl is always a plethora of very cool facts.
Call him Wikipedia Carl.
Yeah, vacca or cow.
Fun thing, Latin. Did Latin just steal from the Greeks?
The sort of like your effectiveness, I think, was like impactful, like in that particular scene where Tess is getting those tendrils in her mouth as well, made it more horrific.
Oh my god, that was horrifying.
That I also want to. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Anatorf is great, but the original voice actress or mocap actress, performance capture in the game, Anne Wershing. I don't know if I mentioned this, but she actually passed away like a month ago.
Yeah. How did she die? She died.
She had cancer.
Yeah.
I can't remember which time, but Anne Wershing, she played Tess in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
I know my mom told me that.
I was talking about the Princess Bride, the iocane powder in
I was telling
the Dread Pirate Roberts.
I was telling my dad to watch this series, and my mom goes, the woman that did the voice and that died, Justin. I go, I know, Mom. I know. She was just so you know. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that is sad though. Well, but they at least hopefully she got some joy out of this project, because this was one of the standouts. And voice acting is incredibly difficult, and it is known as the worst job in the business, by the way, to have to go in and voice for video games and saying EA Sports.
Well,
over and
over.
Well,
it's the thing is, it's also not just voice acting; it's actual full performance capture, because they gotta wear the thing and they're doing actual regular acting, except they also got to use their imagination too, because they just got a bunch of things and dots on their faces and little balls all over them, and they just got to imagine all that stuff. So when you're able to imagine that and convey emotion, it's like it's phenomenal
with less tools, right? So one could argue that it's better acting. Well, it's definitely difficult.
Yeah, like look at Andy Serkis. Like he's like brilliant.
I get the last name Circus. You're just destined for that type of weird stuff, though. You know what I mean? Like that's on him. I don't feel like, good for him, but like at the same time, last name Circus, like it kind of comes with the name. I heard that doing the like I know that Joe Rogan didn't do the last UFC game because like he hated doing the commentary, because they're like, John Jones hit with the left leg, John Jones hit with the right leg. You know what I mean? Like over and over again, like the amount of work it is, like even just like on a bare level, like like that. So it's not It's not glamorous
Yeah,
either.
Carl, that's an interesting thing. Like my son's kind of like sort of really interested in mushrooms and fungus and everything, that they are more like animals, and yet vegetarians eat them or vegans. So I always wonder that if that's going to maybe change in the future, because my niece is vegan
fungus.
and they won't eat anything with a face, right? So like fungus doesn't have a face, but if you got to the point where you're like they communicate and everything, I wonder if it would get to the point where people are like, I'm not going to eat fungus.
It's going to be impossible to eat, and if you want to be ethical when science progresses, you know what I mean? Like, it just gets to a part where it's
we'll
like,
just 3D print it. It'll be 3D printed.
No, then something. I'm telling you, it's just, don't look into things. It just becomes sad. Like I should be a vegan. I'm just not strong enough.
Natural Selection says the mocap video was really great. I agree, and I think there was also this one video that it reminds me of is where, like, towards the end of the game, where it's Joel and Marlene, they're facing off, as even in the series, and they have that sort of dialogue. Well, they did that, they recorded that, but before that, they wanted to sort of like the cast wanted to prank voice actor Troy Baker while they were doing the scene, and they told the actress who plays Marlene to start singing those lines and see how he reacts to them. And so they did that whole scene as a musical as well.
That's all. Like, I love those stories, but imagine being like, you really want to get home, and then they start like, like belting out. You're like, what the, you know what I mean? Like, it's always like,
yeah.
You always see it, you're like, come on, man.
Well, no, they all knew of it except for
I
Troy.
know. Yeah. There's a good story like that with Tarantino films that Austin Butler tells about when he was on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or whatever that's called, where they just, Tarantino says, great, got it, let's do another take, and he goes, what do you mean? And they go, and everybody screamed at him, because we love making movies, and it's like a initiation thing, because they love like making, you know what I mean, which like sounds really like campy and stuff like that, but it's different. Good on you, Tara. I mean, honestly, I wish I was strong enough, because man, it's terrible, but I can't do it. I'm so weak. So good for you.
Anything that casts a shadow. But a mushroom can cast a shadow.
Yeah,
exactly. So they've elevated beyond. They don't have the need for shadows.
The most ethical, it comes down to this, people. We already solved this at the very beginning in this very philosophy filled episode, that the most ethical people are dead people. So how could one be ethical or one be righteous if one eats anything? I think the best people are those below ground. All right. So I think that's the way it goes. Phantom D saying, you're not a good, I didn't like Once Upon a Time. A big surprise. Put this guy up on screen. I loved it. I'm going to put you on blast. This is a bad guy. I'm going to tell you all about Phantom D saying. He used to go by Broke Black Man. He's a bad guy. He's been one of my, like I knew him right away when I got into this, and he was been like a cool guy to me, but I'm a dick. So like, screw, like bad, dirty, just a dirty guy. Just like into dirty stuff, gambling, owes a lot of people money, shady stuff over there. Don't care for him. Got a lot of Funko Pops. I think it's a cocaine racket. Go hunting for mushrooms and foraging. Yeah, they grow on shit. So at what point do you start? If you grow on shit, are you a living thing that's worth being? You got to get class. It's got to get down to a point where you got to.
Really? Is that true?
Yeah, fungus eats. Yeah, fungus. I mean, the fungus that.
No. This Luke Perry was buried in a mushroom death suit.
Probably.
It's healthier for environment. Toxics is bodies either go into air or buried in traditional ceremonies, but mushrooms will absorb the toxins. I've heard of like these compostable
yeah, that's
caskets.
Scary though. Like then you become a tree, and trees can feel right. What if you become a sentient tree and you can't move, and it's like this? Like that's a horror movie. I don't like it. Too risky.
Well, I'm getting cremated, and I'm actually gonna get my husband to take me to the dump, because it's only like we had our
amateur move.
It's only $49.
Listen, I have a rule. I'm not religious, but there's
you have to be out of the house within 24 hours though, because it becomes a health hazard.
That's a big mistake. That's an amateur move. I'll shut up honestly. Okay, so I'm not religious, but there's certain things about the Bible that you can follow that are easy to do, that you don't have to be a good person. Resurrection of the flesh is one of them. Why take the chance? What if like you go and you die and like you're in this big ass line like the DMV, and God's like, "Where's your body?" and you're like, oh, it just burned it. They're like, no, we put in the book, not the soup, but the book. We
No,
put in
Luke
there.
Perry passed away.
Yeah,
Sadly.
that you
We
need the
lost
body.
him.
So don't burn yourself. That's an easy get. You don't have to be nice. Like that's just you don't want to get caught up on a technicality. Imagine you get turned down to get into heaven because you burned yourself. That's stupid. Like just
Luke Perry's he's the werewood exactly. That he died really young. There's been a lot of really young deaths lately. It's pretty surprising because you were saying that girl in the game. There's a girl in a movie, the Triangle movie with Woody Harrelson, the female lead in that. She just died because people were complaining that she wasn't mentioned in the memorandum or the memorial,
right?
Not memorandum.
in now this year in memorandums.
Memorandums. I have my Danny Funko here, and
yeah, fandom he traffics cocaine, pure Colombian snow in those Funko Pops. That's my idea.
Her hair isn't quite white though. It's more like it's kind of beige. It's weird.
Are we really going to talk about how human the Funko Pops are? You know what I mean? Like, oh, they didn't nail
her
it.
eyes are really accurate.
I guess.
They give the females eyelashes.
Iron Man's he's pretty accurate.
He's pretty good, actually. But that's
not because he's so not accurate as a.
This is actually human, I've got actually Princess Peach, which is my son's. See, it's like a little. This is actually an amiibo.
We're talking mushrooms, and now we got Princess Peach.
Yes, exactly. In the Mushroom Kingdom.
Whereas with Chris Pratt's amazing Mario voice, where it goes,
Mushroom
Kingdom, here we come.
Did you think it was good, or what do you think?
No, it's horrible.
Speaking of that, have you guys seen the Saturday Night Live episode?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Pedro Pascal plays Mario.
Okay.
But in the style of The Last of Us.
Rough over Rainbow Road.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I loved that.
That was so good.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for the Mario movie, actually, especially with the trailers and Jack Black, amazing. But yeah, Chris Pratt's voice, I'm like, I don't know, but that's something I can overlook. But I mean, it is what it is. He could have done, let's go, but no, he's
that's a very good impression that you just did there, Farhan. See, now we know Farhan can do parlor tricks there, Justin.
Well, they didn't get the guy that was good at doing the Mario voice. They got the funny guy from Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like the way to fail at failing.
Well, actually, Charles Martinet, who voices Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, and Wario, he's in the movie. As a random guy.
But they don't have him as that, right?
My
point exactly. Yeah, like that's the point. You know what I mean? Like they have Charlie Kelly as Luigi. Jack Black is the only person that I feel like is going to put. I mean, that's a money grab, bro. That's a money grab.
Totally.
Your happiness.
They've altered his voice. By the way, this has nothing to do with anything, but my son, he picks out the movies on Fridays, and the last movie he picked out was what's it called? Nacho Libre.
Oh,
with Jack Black.
Yeah.
And okay, it has terrible reviews on, Rotten Tomatoes. It was hilarious though. It was so funny. I said that was like the last time I can remember actually like laughing out loud really hard at a movie. And the kids loved it. So anyway, if anybody's a Jack Black fan.
His brother died of AIDS. We're talking about that. Yeah, his brother died of AIDS in the early 90s. He's a very inspirational guy.
Who, Jack Black's brother?
Yeah, Jack Black's brother died from HIV.
Well, Jack Black is up there he's like up there for me.
Yeah.
I love him. And then Nick Cage, I will always defend Nick Cage. And I love Nick Cage. I have to, and speaking of Pedro Pascal, I have to see that movie with Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, so do I. I keep seeing that one clip over and over again.
Oh my god, it looks so good. And apparently Pedro Pascal was or is a huge Nick Cage fan, so his character is obsessed with Nick Cage, but apparently in real life Pedro Pascal is actually also obsessed with Nick Cage.
So Nick Cage is actually Nick, what's his actual last name? It's the guy that made The Godfather. It's
Coppola?
It's Nick Coppola. He's like, I don't want to be known as Coppola, so I'll be Nick Cage. Like he makes this cartoony name. Then he gets sued and he had to like give artifacts from dinosaurs in a lawsuit. Like there's weird things.
Oh, that's really cool. See, Carl has all the facts.
Yeah,
he says Nacho Libre is kind of sweet. Actually, it's based on a real story.
I remember seeing that movie, but I don't remember anything about, like, I know that I've seen it.
It's the same.
when it
It's
came
it's
out,
the
but
same people who did Napoleon Dynamite, so it has that
yeah,
same
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
quirkiness.
I do remember that one. I remember fully. That
Oh
had like no
yeah,
plot,
for
and it was
sure.
just random stuff that happened, and then I
Yeah,
loved it.
Jack Black is dead sexy. I always
But
say
Nacho Libre, I just for some reason don't remember what happens in the movie. Like I remember I watched
it's
it,
about a
but I was also
priest, like a
7.
monk, who wants to become like
Yeah, yeah.
a Mexican wrestler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No, I remember like the plot, like the premise.
Yeah.
But like I don't remember the events that occur in the movie.
Well,
Nobody's
it's
gonna hold you
basically
hostage over
it's a
that one.
sin. I guess it's a
Right.
sin to fight. And
It's
then
bad
so
to hurt
he's
people.
trying to it's a sin, like because he meets this really lovely nun who he kind of falls for, and she's
Isn't
like,
that
no,
a
it's a
sin?
Oh
sin.
yeah, okay.
That's
It
a sin
started
in
to-
itself. So yeah, what the
Yeah,
hell?
and so, but also it's just preposterous. It's so funny because he's really bad at it. I mean, that's what makes it so funny. And Jack Black has these crazy moves and stuff. And I mean, I'm sure there was like, you know, what would you call it, a stunt double or fight double?
Yeah.
But he's just crazy. And then he hooks up with this other guy who apparently my husband said is like a really famous actor in Mexico, like he's a heartthrob or something. He meets up with this guy who he keeps having fights with in a back alley, and then finally goes, "Hey, you're a really good fighter. Do you want to come do wrestling with me?" Because I
Sounds
guess they do it in
romantic.
teams.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. Yeah, it's just a great little movie.
Jack
So
Black's
I don't
got
know why
great
I got
energy.
such bad reviews, but
Because it's you even though with Carl's very studious academic
Good night, reflective.
insight into it, it's it's a silly movie, but Jack Black does give it. He did give a really good interview to Ozzy Man last week about content creation and just going out there and doing, because he's tried his hand at YouTube. Jack Black and
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah,
that.
it's a great interview. Ozzy Man is Chris Smokescreen is buddies with him. I don't know Ozzy Man personally, but I like his content, and he's like always dives his hand in fandom a little bit. So I thought it was cool that Jack gave him that walk and talk tour.
Yeah, that advice that he gives is actually a sort of
advice.
philosophy that I have with everything. Like I just like, especially when it comes to like schoolwork and I'm like trying to write an essay or whatever. I think the mental block that I have, a writer's block that I get, is initially because you're always trying to feel like you have this sort of, you have perfectionism in you and you want it to come out really well. But once I allowed myself to just, start writing whatever, then things started working. So I always find that, something's better than nothing, even if it's shit.
That is so true.
you can mold shit, but you can't mold nothing that's not there. Like you can't mold something that's not there.
You're not going to get the Mona Lisa. That's why I don't like. So it's like when you're on a schedule and you have to put stuff out. You put stuff out and you force yourself to do it. It's not to try to be
or
bad.
You use Chat GPT.
But Chat GPT really hurt my feelings last week, and I want to get into it.
Chat GPT is it can only go so far, at least right now.
No, I know. My latest video is an example of that.
Yeah. It actually helped me today.
Is that true, Heidi?
That's
the fucking reason for some of the problems.
Yeah.
Oh, that bastard! I didn't know that. You shouldn't.
Oh yeah. Well, I've had some discussions with him before. I'll be like, "No, ChatGPT, that's actually incorrect. It's actually this," and he'll say, or she. It doesn't have a gender. Oh yes. Sorry, you're correct. I was wrong, but it can only go up to 2021.
Right.
It can't.
But I mean,
there's not anything past that.
Wow, screw that robot.
Yeah, Carl's been using it the whole time and we didn't even notice.
Oh, you've been using Wikipedia. I've noticed right away, dude. Like everything is the first 2 sentences from Wikipedia. It's like Carl's either really smart or he has Google. I don't know.
Usually tend to use it for, and I find it useful for, is especially like when I'm writing my essays. Like, I'm not really great with conclusions, but it like takes, like I can copy what I've already written and be like, summarize this in a paragraph, and that's
amazing,
right? Because it's already summarizing what I've said.
You're giving evidence and then conclude what. So you're giving like evidence.
I wrote everything.
So you're using your own words, but you just want it kind of put together in a nice little package.
Yeah, right. So because I'm not,
I don't think that's cheating.
Right. And then also I used it for so the particular assignment I'm working on that's due tomorrow is like a media pitch assignment. So we got to create something of some sort, like some product that's for kids, right? Or that's targeted towards kids.
This is marketing.
So my product is something that I came up with. Yeah. That I came up with is like a video game that's like a party game for families. That's a combination of Mario Party and Jackbox. And I had to get into more details. And so the characters for that hypothetical game I couldn't come up with on the spot. I'm not that creative. And so I asked it, can you create some characters for me? And it came
Frank,
up with...
he's a jock. Lisa, she's a big nerd. There you go. Bam, I just chat GPT.
Well, thank you. It came
No
up
problem.
with like random things like Fizzy the fox and Rusty the robot, Spike the turtle, Zara the zebra, Blaze
That's
the
just his
dragon, Luna the
ex-girlfriends and
unicorn.
boyfriends. Yeah. Who are these
Puffy the
people?
Will it give
penguin,
you like your
Boomer
porn
the
star
bear.
name? Or your Will it give you
Yeah.
your porn star or
Maybe,
your exotic
maybe.
dancer name?
Well, tell
if
your
you ask it?
marketing class to screw off because I did those about those very vague, widespread things. Like I remember it was like, oh, you can do like a
Actually,
Disneyland resort or a
It's
video game.
not
I'm like, that's not the
a marketing
same.
class. It's
Oh,
not a
not my,
marketing
yeah,
class.
that I did that for my marketing, and it's always very like broad. I was like, this is way too broad. Like I could do
Yeah,
like
it's a very...
amusement park ride. I'm
It's
like,
a very
or
broad
movie?
thing,
Yeah.
but yeah, that course is communications and youth and media or something.
What the
Yeah.
fuck classes? I got to go back to college. I don't know what they're combining now.
Well, because I'm a communications major, so we have all these different things, and the discipline is kind of in its infancy still. It only started around the 50s, so yeah, but it's rising.
Yeah, missed my call. Must be a communications student. So GPT, you don't need it.
Do you cats have anything else? Just trying to think of a cool name for you guys, but that came off of that 1950s.
And that's why we need chat. Yeah, you cool cats. Got anything, you jazz man blues. All right, you accidental Wednesdays.
Yeah. I was like, do you guys have anything else to say? I was trying to come up with a cool name for you, but it sort of...
Well, I think that we have
on my
learned a lot.
face.
We've learned that I'm not perfect. We've learned that that season 2 is... We definitely have hope because Farhan is smart and he doesn't like the game so much. He didn't hate it, but he does want to see season 2, and that actually does give me hope.
I actually, at the time, I did hate it when I played it, but I respect people who have the other opinion, and I'm willing to reevaluate it, is my thing.
He's willing to give you guys another chance, you numbskulls. He's just calling you out, though.
I am actually planning on the summer, once the first, like, part 1 goes on sale, the remake goes on sale, I'll buy that, play that, do a full essay thing for that, and then go straight to part 2 and do an essay of that as well.
So you got in July, you got a weekend cross off. It said, give these assholes another chance.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to do that all in May. I'm going to do a bunch of shit in May because I'm going to London or the UK in July and August. So I got a stack of...
Oh, nice, Farhan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be amazing for you.
Just, I haven't had a vacation in, well, actually ever. The last time I went anywhere, last time I went on a plane was like 2007, but that was for a wedding. And so now it's actually for once an actual vacation where I can...
Oh, that's amazing.
Did you let those people at the wedding know that they ruined your life and that it wasn't a joyous experience for you?
Oh, they know. They know.
Okay, good, because they're not that important. They shouldn't be that bold.
Yeah, Yellow Jackets for sure. Natural's asking any shows that we're looking forward to before we wrap things up.
There is actually somebody go first, but I have 2, I think, that are coming up. It's not great that I need to think of the name, but I know there is something I'm excited for.
I've been already finishing. I've got this is what I'm watching right now. So many shows. So Shadow and Bone, which is, I only have 1 episode left to go.
Boo.
So good. I just finished The Servant. I'm watching The Mandalorian. That's pretty early still. I'm watching Shrinking. I'm watching the New Never Tomorrow on Apple Plus.
Wow.
So I'm watching a lot of shows. And I will definitely be watching Yellow Jackets and
Ahsoka. But Ahsoka is one that I'm looking forward to.
What's that?
Yeah, same.
It's Ahsoka. Ahsoka is Ahsoka Tano from she's made famous through the Clone Wars, but she's Anakin Skywalker's apprentice. She was in The Mandalorian. You might remember her.
Rosario Dawson. Yeah.
Rosario Dawson. Yes, I know who that is.
Sorry,
she's getting her own standalone show.
Yeah. And it's gonna talk. Yeah, it's gonna. I actually found I call them Lullaby series. I've talked to you about this for anxiety. That I found the Clone Wars and even Rebels to an extent. The animated series to be a nice series to fall asleep to. Yeah. So I fell in love with these characters. So I think that the tie-ins, we're gonna get some tie-ins. Like those shows. As an adult, they're not the best, but there's some really good episodes of Clone Wars that personify Star Wars. Like, honestly, it made me a fanboy. I started collecting a few action figures I turned into freaking fandom descent. I got really into it. Like, Clone Wars is what turned me. There's some real gems in there.
I'm actually excited for all of those as well. But at the moment, I'm currently going through My Hero Academia, like I'm in the current season. I'm looking forward to the more Attack on Titan, finishing that, and then Invincible later this year as well. I'm really excited for that as well. They're all animated stuff, I know, but I love animation.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm.
There's also Only Murders in the Building that's coming out in the summer.
Farhan, I just finished watching that. It's so good. Well, actually, the next season's coming, right?
Yeah,
that's such a great show. I loved it.
Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep joining. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I like the clothes in it. I think actually the clothes in it are really interesting. Phantom D Collector. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we'll wrap things up.
Well, I thought this would be a nice question as well.
Oh, sure.
What would you like? I mean, I don't know. You don't play video games, but maybe I could ask the chat as well. Is there any particular video game that you would like to see adapted next? Like
Miss Pac-Man?
It's probably already been done. It's just a porn.
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a porn, yeah, and they've all been done in porn.
I'm sure.
Let's see. What am I playing right now?
Well, Pac-Man is actually in Wreck-It Ralph, I think.
Well, there's a good Tetris series coming up.
A movie. Yeah, there's a
Oh, there is. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
It's on.
Did you know the KGB?
Oh, now it says Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. Yeah, I was raised in Final Fantasy 7.
They have other adjacent movies. I think those are cool. I personally I have a few, but one of them that I definitely, and I talked about this before. Oh, God of War, that would be really good. They're actually working that on Amazon Prime. But one that I would love to see is BioShock. I think that could be done really well as a 3-season miniseries on HBO, retelling the events before the events of the first game and the rise and fall of Rapture. I don't know.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint is a game out of all Ubisoft is terrible with their stupid the Division. They're good mechanic games, meaning they play well, but their stories, it's we're a mercenary group. It's pretty much the Fireflies meet the Fireflies meet the Fireflies. The problem is that there keeps being mercenary groups that they can't trust, and then they solve them by starting a new mercenary group called Scornfly, and you know what I mean. And then you got people throughout the game, they're like, Justin, don't listen. I'm not listening to any of this. I'm just shooting. But Breakpoint, Recon Breakpoint is a game I've been playing that it's a third-person shooter that has a great open world, and the mechanics of it are really great. And I feel that if you were going to do a gritty, maybe they used to do these series more, but I know war isn't the best thing to do them on, but more of a modern time, maybe Ukrainian, whatever. You get what I mean? More that's all I can think of that I've been playing, because the rest of it is I play Call of Duty a lot and stuff like that, and UFC, so can't really do it out of that. But you could do a gritty with Travis Fimmel in Breakpoint, Ragnar, going out there and you got a Navy SEAL, maybe an Army Ranger. They all meet up, and there's no reason why they should be working together, but they do, because Chuck Norris did it once. So something like that. Yeah. No, I like your mythology though. Mythology would be good. God of War is mythology, so that would be great.
Saying Diablo.
And Guitar Hero.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Learn how to play real ones.
By the way, speaking of video games or just games, is anyone planning on seeing Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I definitely do plan on watching it at some point. Yeah.
So Chris Pine's fake mom. I don't know if it was his mom. There's a woman on Instagram who claims she's Chris Pine's mom.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, did you see that? She I had left a comment about something that Chris Pine was wearing in a movie, or something about the movie, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm Chris Pine's mom. Thank you so much for loving my son."
Yeah, likely not her. Yeah.
Did she DM you after and was like, "I'm his mom. I'm currently struggling. Please send me $550."
That makes sense.
It was really funny. Well, apparently, she's married to obviously Chris Pine's dad. Chris Pine's dad.
That adds up.
Chris Pine's dad. Well, they don't have to
not necessarily.
Yeah,
whatever. Okay,
maybe she
spoiler alert.
But apparently, according to this fake Chris Pine mom, the dad is actually his dad. I didn't realize this until recently. Was in Chips, the TV show Chips. He wasn't one of the cops, but he was the captain or something like that.
You're
and
saying
you would
at
know
one
him
point
if you saw
Chris
him.
Pine's dad had $200. You're telling me that? At one point, this guy had $200.
Well, no, he was a pretty successful actor, and
Oh, was he?
and the mom is an actress as well.
Oh, I didn't. No, he does. Oh, he does come from an acting family, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. So his mom was an actor. Now she's not, but
it's like the Anistons. Like he's just the one that popped,
Anistons,
right?
yeah.
Like they all. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry for.
But it's weird if you look at his dad, you can see him. Except unlike his dad was balding. He's actually got a full head of hair.
Yeah,
so
his dad's like, I do it every day.
He got
in
his
the mirror,
mom's
Heidi.
hair.
I try to see it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
yeah, that's gotta be rough. Warhammer with Henry Cavill. He's like developing these series. So,
oh no, wait, Jackie was being stalked by fake Keanu Reeves' mom.
Keanu Reeves is a great guy, so you'd be lucky.
She's saying that Keanu Reeves was interested in her. That's pretty funny.
I don't get how Guitar Hero would be.
Well, she was just like, "Oh, thank you so much for adoring my son."
No, because if she thanked everybody for adoring Chris, there's
a lot of people who adore.
That's
him.
just a crazy person, but that could be Chris Pine's mom. She could also just be a crazy person. Warhammer is this game that Henry Cavill has heavily gotten behind, and these are crazy. He does all the figures because he's one of those like jack dudes that's a nerd too. You know what I mean? Like he is a cool guy.
What do you guys think about him leaving The Witcher? By the way,
didn't like the series. So
he was the one thing that was kind of holding it together at this point, I think. And he is someone that respects the lore. He's a purist as well, more so than most people, because he read the books several times and he's played the games several times. And, I respect him a lot for that. And Netflix does not want to do that. So it makes sense that he wanted to sort of leave. Now, then getting Liam Hemsworth, I don't know. But also, Netflix has been making a lot of stupid decisions as it is anyway. Yeah. And I'm surprised I've been meaning to cancel it because of.
Yeah. It's funny. Liam used to be the second Hemsworth, but now he's kind of moved into third place, I'd say.
That's like being, I saw the tallest on the trade show here. But anyways, I want to, I think Netflix is just used to making decisions and they've worked out in the past, but now they're not. And we're seeing the streaming model kind of fall apart. But that couldn't have been worse promotion, by the way, for Netflix, to have him be so much of a purist for the Polish literature, you know what I mean? Like for like this, like very dark, like, very gritty stuff that he really would stay true to. I mean, it's like the worst promotion. Like, oh, that guy cared too much about the thing we're doing, so we got rid of him.
By the way, one game I do know really well is Five Nights at Freddy's because of my son, and that's being made into a movie.
Yeah,
and apparently it's starring Josh Hutcherson. He's from the original Hunger Games. Is going to be playing the clerk, I guess. I don't know what you call him.
I actually I have I think I have 3 or something, but I've never actually played any of those. But
he didn't marry. What's her name? Did they get married? And I didn't watch all the Hunger Games. Thing.
My son has like a full room full of like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Wow.
Isn't that a Tom Green thing?
Five Nights at Freddy's? No, that's Freddy has 5 fingers or something.
Oh, man.
Freddy got fingered. That's it. Freddy got fingered, which is a terrible movie. Oh, Archive 81 is really good. Oh, no, that's too bad. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That was a really, really interesting show. So anyway, okay, well, maybe we should just wrap things up because it's almost 10, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry for something, Justin?
But
Nope. No, it was a pleasure talking. It was a pleasure to talk with Farhan as always.
Oh yeah, it is Matthew Dillard. My son keeps coming up and giving me the updates on them. Like he gives me he's the one who broke the news in the house about the Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah. What's that?
That it's not doing well.
No, he broke the news that it was going to be done and who was going to be starring in it. And he always tells me when the trailer's out. He always seems to know even like before the trailer's even out. Like he just knows.
Yeah, well, like they announced that during the Nintendo Direct last year, and I was watching that live, and I'm like, am I having a fever dream right now? Is this real?
Yeah,
exactly. But then the Game Awards happens. I don't know if you've watched that, but then the end thing never mind. Anyway,
I think you're doing too many stars and mushrooms over there, Farhan.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you're getting a little wild. Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap things up because I have to get up early in the morning, unfortunately. Justin, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell everyone what they?
It's been a pleasure. What you can't find me, and that's the idea. You will not find me, and you can't get to me. I don't care how much you don't like me. So yeah, good for you. No, I'm just happy to be here, and I'm always happy to talk about things that I'm actually enjoying. And The Last of Us is great, and I'm really looking forward to the experiment that will be season 2. I think it's officially announced, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, as always, you'll be watching stuff that I have my hands on, whether you like it or not, or know it or not. So enjoy.
What about you, Farhan? Told us about your assignment. Hopefully you've got it done.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I have. I'm only about like halfway through.
And it's tomorrow.
Will get done.
Okay.
This happens. Okay, I have like several every week. It's what I'm used to now. Okay.
Sure. No problem.
Anyway, I just want to thank you for having me on this every time. It's very nice to be on here and get a chance to sort of talk about all this stuff, because it's right up my alley, especially video games and adaptations and stuff. I love that stuff. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for inviting me and having this conversation with me, and especially with all the dialogues and all the praise that you've given me and putting me on this pedestal.
And we gave you, to be fair, we did kind of give you a bit of a hard time a few times.
I love you too. I love you too.
I didn't mean it about you being an abrasive person earlier.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stick it with it.
We weren't allowed to have other guests on when you were here.
Yeah, no,
he's a different guy behind the scenes when this camera. He's a different type of guy. I'm sticking with it. I'm not a good guy. So.
Jackie, she wants to know, Justin, what you have on your arm. What tattoo?
This is Boss DJ by Sublime, which was drawn by a man when I was an actual DJ, and it wasn't all that good. And this is real original right here. This is James Dean. Dream as if you'll live forever, live as if you'll die today, which I always just have my sleeve rolled down like this, so all it says is die today. It's freaking me out. No, yeah. I love the quote, even though it's a little cheesy, but I don't like the script on this. The guy went a little bit heavy with the cursive on here. But yeah, so one is Boss. This is about a song that's so nice. I want to hear the same song twice. Brad Noel, his dad, he's the lead singer of Sublime. He did this song acoustic. It's about hearing that song in the radio when you just got anxiety and you just, whatever you're dealing with, and you just put it on loop. So it's so nice. I want to hear the same song twice. And this is, kind of I don't know. It's one of those, I'm in my 20s and it's a cool quote. I'm not so thrilled with it. But hey, who is? But thank you. Thanks for asking.
Thanks, Jackie. That's pretty cool. Because actually, Justin, I've never seen a close-up of it before either. So that's
how I got hepatitis. Okay, so there you go. No.
Oh God, are you kidding? Are you serious?
I got the hepatitis I. I got all 3, A, B, and C. No, that would be It's like, the tattoo. It's a little bit rough on the lines, and you also get hepatitis. No, I do know somebody did get hepatitis from getting a tattoo though.
I've heard that. I know I have heard that.
Yeah.
From
Boss DJ, it's so hard to emulate. I've been learning the songs on the piano, but Brad Noel,
I think you can even get it now from when you're getting a pedicure.
A lot of people
aren't clean.
Hepatitis C, yeah, it's out there, man. It's sneaky. My cousin got it from getting a tattoo, but he also lives in Detroit, so you don't drink the water, don't get tattoos. That's where we come from. But but Brad Noel's
Sublime lovers here.
Yeah, Brad Noel, he sings so bad, so well. It's just so good, but you can't emulate it. Yeah. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for your interest. That makes me feel good.
Well, we're gonna let you guys go, and then you can go to bed. Farhan can finish his homework. Justin, I don't know what you're planning on doing. I'm gonna probably watch a bit of TV and then crash because I have to work early tomorrow. So I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It was really fun because we hadn't done a live stream. I think actually it was that other show, the other Star Wars show that
Andor.
Andor, I can't remember.
Give it its respect. Damn it.
I loved it. Anyway, I think that was the last time we did. Farhan, you were here for that, right? The Andor one?
No, I wasn't on it. I did join in the chat.
That's right. You came in the chat. Okay. Anyway, so we'll definitely plan another live stream soon. I'm hoping to do I was saying it earlier, Shadow and Bone, but I don't know. I can't find anybody who's watching the show. I keep going, do you want to do Shadow and Bone thing? I've done this with like 3 people. Want to do Shadow and Bone with me? Oh, I haven't watched it. Oh, okay. Then I go to the next person, like Tony this morning. I'm like, Tony, you want to do Shadow and Bone with me?
Well, I won't do any more Last of Us. Justin ruined it with a spoiler. So.
No, you didn't. You didn't ruin it.
No, that guy ruined it. That guy's a dick. I hate him. He's pompous. I don't like him at all. Yeah.
Well, you know what you can do on the rewind? You can just go in and just trim it out if you want.
Well, it
fun.
should.
When you see my
Video.
face,
If you
just
do
don't-
shadow and bone, make sure it's just and bone because we don't want anything with shadows here. We don't do
let's
that
go.
here.
Yeah. Oh my god. There's so many
Yeah.
jokes of it.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, everybody, thanks so much for coming out, and we'll talk to you soon, hopefully. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Probably not, to be fair.
Well, maybe not, but okay. Bye.
Okay, goodbye. Good night.